Creating a safe space for our teens and young people to really open up and share what's going on for them is vital for their success in and out of the classroom. The conversation about emotional wellness is so important in our educational system. And this idea of educating the whole child is just so critical in our times.
When we talk about trauma, when we think about this major issue that's overarching a lot of our experiences for our students, we're not focusing on social emotional learning. We've had a lot of focus on closing the achievement gap, right? However, we're not talking about how are we helping kids sort of self-regulate, how are we helping kids understand how they work with the energy that they're dealing with. Perhaps it's sometimes anger, perhaps it's sadness, but that social emotional learning is a key piece that we're not tapping into.
The way we as administration currently handle discipline is very punitive in nature. In school suspension, out of school suspension. That might support the teacher for a day or two for the time that that kid is suspended, but is it really doing anything to help that kid? We don't live life in their shoes. Empowering the kids to understand different ways they could behave, different ways that they could handle the issues that are in their lives. That is the next evolutionary step for us to take. We need to start developing some newer curriculums, and that's where I think the Alchemy Wheel comes in. One of the major ways that the Alchemy Wheel supports our students is the students come to us with so many different emotional needs, social needs, that the Alchemy Wheel does just that, where it allows the students to be able to vie for themselves and speak up for themselves in ways that are supportive to their social and emotional needs.
Seeing what our teens and young people are going through and dealing with, when this type of education is not provided, the consequences are insurmountable. We see higher dropout rates, less inner resilience, more aggression, more addiction, suicide, anxiety, and depression, and these are our realities. We need to talk about energy, and this is scientifically proven. Every day, we are picking up energies, and oftentimes these energies can get clogged in our system, creating sickness, creating disease, creating anxiety, creating depression. Personal awareness and emotional regulation is literally a key piece for our kids on fulfilling on their dreams. Through specific yogic techniques such as breath work and mindfulness, we can learn how to bring ourselves back to center and back to balance. Over the past year, I've been working on various formats of the Alchemy Wheel, looking at ways to bring this type of programming into the school day, such as an advisory curriculum and after-school workshop. Designing the Alchemy Wheel to ultimately replace old school models such as detention and in-school suspension with a more restorative approach that addresses trauma, relationship building, and overall emotional health while still holding kids accountable and helping them to stay inspired.
It's a national conversation now. Our schools are a little bit slower to pick up on that, and I think it's due to resources and funding and support, but it's also training for individuals, and the educators that are in the field need more exposure to something like that.
I mean, the school district wants to include social emotional learning. The tricky bits are, you know, if you just buy a program and it's a social emotional learning program and teachers deliver it, it doesn't end up being the deep work that students really hunger for, because they are really thinking about their positive and negative side and how it's okay to have both of those things. Greta uses the term their shadow side, and I think to myself, wow, imagine if adults could reflect on that. Like, where am I coming from? Am I coming from my shadow side right now? And not judging a student for like their worst choice of the day. Modeling it here and now, I think is just really, really powerful for the kiddos. But again, it would also be really great for the adults. I would love for all my staff to do the Alchemy Wheel, you know, so that everybody would have the opportunity, because only if you've looked at yourself and reflected, some teachers just don't seem to understand how hard some of our teenagers, how hard their lives are, and how hard they've been, and what they've been exposed to and what they've seen. A lot of the staff are fabulous, fabulous, fabulous people doing their best work, but it's very challenging.
My vision is that school systems, whether public, charter, private, begin to move in the direction of incorporating this type of education into the school system. That this type of education becomes an integral part of the school structure, that teachers are getting trained, that teachers have access to bring this type of curriculum into their classrooms.
So the main thing that came out of this program for me was looking at the world in a different point of view and not always being so negative on myself or anyone else.
I know how to explain my emotions and why they're like this, so I will be able to take that in my later life, so when and if something terrible happens to me, I'll be able to get over it without much of a problem and hold back.
When I first came to the Alchemy wheel, I was a pretty angry person, and I would explode on like a daily basis, and I'd explode on people, on my family. Like, I was just so built up of anger, and now I've learned to be like more open to things that used to make me angry.
The biggest thing I got out of this is learning to let go of things, because sometimes you're just sad and that just ruins your day about what happened in the past, and you just gotta let go and put your attention on the present and just be there.